DWFBG, Radhe Radhe.
Can I have Sima's telephone number if it's possible? Then I can contact her.
Hello. Are we there?
Parvati ji,
Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Radhe Radhe Nitinji, over to you. And happy Republic Day to everyone. And happy Basant Panchami to everyone as well.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Pallavi ji. Thank you, Sunil Bhai and Matan Bhai for a wonderful Patanjali Yoga Sutra session. So welcome everybody. A very warm welcome to all of you to today's session of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. And happy Republic Day. Gantantra Divas ki aapko shubhkamnaएं and happy Basant Panchami as well. Let's get started. We will continue on our discussion on the topic of bhakti. We are getting into some of the practical aspects of it. We have heard a lot about Roop Dhyan. What does it actually entail? How do we go about it? What are some of the techniques you can employ? What are some of the helpers you can take? And then we will do some practical, very short meditation I picked up that we will do after we have gone through what we have lined up from a Roop Dhyan standpoint that we plan to discuss today. So welcome again, all of you. Let me share my screen. We will get underway. All right, able to see my screen, which I believe you are.
Yes.
All right, let's get started with our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right, Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. So let's get started. Now I picked up this chapter 6, verse 10 that we did yesterday as well. Now, the important thing here to understand is that I'm picking up verses which would give me a reference to help take the discussion forward on what we are discussing. We are not necessarily going to do a deep dive into the shloka itself, but I have picked up because it talks about the sadhana in seclusion that Lord Krishna has recommended, and I took it as an opportunity to introduce Roop Dhyan, which Maharaj Ji Swamiji always tell us about. So I pick up shloka, I pick up some reference from it, so that we are talking about that practice, not necessarily doing a deep dive. When we get to chapter 6, this verse 10, like in sequence that we are doing, we are currently in chapter 4, then we will do a deep dive into the shloka, the other aspects, facets of it as well. But for this one, we'll focus on the sadhana aspect of it, ekant sadhana part of it. So I'm going to recite it and you're welcome to follow along. We will not spin the wheel today. We'll pick up as many hands as we can today. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitah ekakiyat chittatma nirashira aparigraha. All right, so let's have some.
Yes. Radhe Radhe.
Volunteers for it.
Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitah ekakiyata chittatma nirashira parigraha. Radhe Radhe.
I think it's aparigraha actually.
Aparigraha.
I don't know how you manage to come up first every day, Samji. Something special you are doing. All right.
When I keep lookout for it, obviously I'll be the one to raise hand
Let's see
first.
when we start spinning the wheel what happens. So, all right.
Then I won't come.
Let's take a few more hands.
Shyamji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Other assembly. Shyamji.
Yogi yunajit satatam atmanam rahasi sthitah ekakiyat chittatma nirashir aparigraha. Radhe Radhe. Lots
Radhe
of
Radhe,
time.
very nice. Shyamji. Thank you.
Aparna ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Parnaji, Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे योगी युञ्जीत सततम् आत्मानं रहसि स्थितः एकाकीयत चित्तात्मा निराशिर अपरिग्रहः.
Wonderful. Very nice. Aparnaji. Thank you. Okay.
Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे
Radhe Rahul.
योगी युञ्जीत सततम् आत्मानं रहसि स्थितः एकाकीयत चित्तात्मा निराशीर अपरिग्रह.
Very nice, Rahul. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Surya Prakash ji,
Surya
Radhe Radhe.
Prakash ji, welcome back. I'm seeing you after a little bit of a break.
Yes, sir. I was daily last 3-4 days continuously. I was going to the college early hours.
Okay, okay. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi stitaha ekakiyata chittatma nirashi raparigraha.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you. SSPG.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Sandhya.
योगी युञ्जित सततम् आत्मानं रहसि स्थितः एकाकीयत चित्तात्मा निराशीर अपरिग्रहः.
Very nice, Sandhya. Thank you. Last 4 hands.
Pragi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Thank you. Yogi yunjit satatam atmanam rahasi stitah ekakiyat chit atma nirashir aparigraha.
Very nice. Thank you, Praviji. All right. Last 3 hands.
Ashutosh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे योगी युञ्जीत सततम् आत्मानं रहसि स्थितः एकाकीयति चित्तात्मा निराशीरपरिग्रह.
Wonderful. Very nice, Ashutoshi. Radhe Radhe. Last but 2 hands.
Uday ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे योगी युञ्जीत सततम् आत्मानं रहसि स्थितः एकाकीयत चित्तात्मा निराशीर अपरिग्रहः. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice, Udaji. Last but not the least, Pallaviji. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitah ekakiyat chittatma nirashira aparigrahah.
Wonderful. Very nice. So let's get started. Now, quick map of where we are. We are actually doing a recap of Bhagavad Gita for the benefit of new participants. We'll continue to do that once we go further up, and then we'll come back and revisit the key shlokas, and that's what we have been doing. So as part of that journey, we were in chapter 3, and in the course of that journey, we started speaking about bhakti, right? Devotion, and went really deep into it. And to take it to a logical closure, at least from the discussion standpoint, it's important to talk about how do we progress on bhakti as well. And one of the the foremost or the tools which is of paramount importance on this path is Roop Dhyan. And that is what we are discussing right now. Okay, so we'll continue on this journey. And once it concludes, I think over this week, then we are back to our chapter 3 remaining verses and back to chapter 4 in our sequence that we have been following. Okay, so if you are joining after a while, don't get surprised why we have, how quickly we have jumped to chapter 6. I've just picked up this verse because it is relevant to the discussion that we are doing and it will help us move the discussion forward. Okay, so in this particular shloka, Lord Krishna is saying those who seek the state of yoga should reside in seclusion, constantly engaged in meditation with a controlled mind and body, getting rid of desires and possessions for enjoyment. Okay. Now, this seclusion or ekant sadhana, how does it help? We briefly touched upon it. I'm going to do a quick recap. So today's session, we are going to talk about what is Roop Dhyan. We'll continue on that. Is Roop Dhyan must for my spiritual progress, right? And then how can we do Roop Dhyan is what we are going to talk about. And what are some of the tools and enablers we can use to, become better at it? Because I know a lot of us would say that I struggle with it, anything but Roop Dhyan, right? It's a very common thing. So we will talk about some of that. See, you'll have to fight that battle with your mind to begin with. It's not like any other thing in life. It's not something that will happen overnight. So you have to fight that initial battle and it will start happening, and take the tools and enablers. We are going to practice a very small meditation today, but only after we have completed our discussion, and hopefully we can bring some of those things to mind. Okay, to see how well we are able to focus for that short duration. I think I picked up a very small 5-minute meditation. Shouldn't be too bad for us to focus on. But let's get into the theory part of it first. Okay, it's a happy Republic Day, first of all. So, Ganatantra Divas ki shubhkamnaएं to everyone. Give me a sec. All right, hope you're going to enjoy the parade today, if not already. So, basically, this is the day when it commemorates adoption of the Constitution, right? We did that in 1957, I believe. So what is Constitution, right? Constitution is something which is a body of fundamental principles established. Those are the precedents that are established according to a state or other organization is acknowledged or to be governed. Very legal definition. So basically some codes that you have to honor as part of the state or a union, right? Article this, article. There are so many things that are called out in the Constitution which govern or dictate how the country or the government has to be run, right? So there are codified rules and principles around it. That is what the Constitution is. So everything is governed by a constitutional or a rule, right? And let's map it to Constitution for Human Life now. Okay, that is essentially what we are reading. So let me map it to that. Now, if you look at the Constitution, Vedas manifested at the time of creation. Vedas, the manuals, they actually manifested at the time of creation. They are apurusha, nobody actually created, then God himself. And these Vedas are actually, if you look at it, these are the Constitution of human life. Okay, the code or the conducts, how human life has to be managed or led. So when we formally adopt it, that is our Ganatantra Divas at a spiritual level. Right now, it's more at a bodily level because our identity is that of being an Indian or an American or a Canadian. So we adopt, we follow that Constitution and celebrate that. But true constitutional would be when we start adopting these principles, right? These principles that we are talking about, they were created, formulated as soon as the creation came, which science says the Big Bang. Now, talking about it, it is prasthantarai. This Constitution, when it manifested, there are 3 gateways that are provided by our scriptures to understand this Constitution. What are these 3 gateways? It is called prasthantarai, and which is basically encapsulation of the Vedic thought. The first one of that is Upanishad, over 200. Second one is Brahma Sutra. Third one is Bhagavad Gita. These are the prasthantarai of the Constitution of human life. And when I talk about human life, it is nothing to do with being an Indian or any other nationality. It is a science between soul and God. Soul and God. Okay, that's all. Now, Upanishads, they have been written by great acharyas. They are the extracts from the scriptures, Vedas themselves, and they are well acknowledged around the world, even through Westerner philosophers, who have come across these. But they're very difficult to understand, a bit esoteric, from a literature standpoint. Same thing goes for Brahma Sutra. Aphorisms are there. All of Jagat Gurus have written their commentaries on them, like Jagat Guru Shankaracharya has also given. But these are deep philosophical thoughts, and they are generally out of reach of common people. And that is where we get extremely lucky, where Lord Krishna actually is extracted or distilled the message of entire scriptures for us and presented to us by Ved Vyas. Right? This is Bhagavad Gita, and on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and that is the meditation we'll do today, by the way. Roop Dhyan, I think what better way to initiate it than actually going 5,000 years back into the battlefield along with Arjuna and Krishna and visualize it in our head. And this is what we are doing. And we are actually trying to understand the constitution for human life, or the manual for human life, how the life needs to be led so that we get closer to our goal, right? So this is also a rule book. If you don't know this rule book, ignorance is not a bliss. So as humans, it is imperative on us to understand the constitution. If I go to UK and commit something which is legal in India, it is not acceptable. They will say we have our own constitution, we have our own rules. Similarly, because we are inhabiting God's world, it's important to understand that constitution as well. What governs, what governs, or what are the rules, spiritual laws or rules around it that we need to not only understand, but to adhere to as well. So Brahma Sutra, the first thing injunction for humans is to Athato Brahma Jigyasa, that one should inquire about this question. Who are we? Where have we come from? Who has created us? And what is our purpose of life? And how do we get closer to the goal of life? It is imperative on us to actually inquire about that question. And as human, like it says, to whom much is given, more is expected. So ignorance is not a bliss, and not seeking is not an excuse. Okay, when we go and meet Chitragupt and say, by the way, I never bothered to, or the opportunity presented itself, but then I did not have time, or I was too busy, or I never thought it was so important, that argument will not fly. Okay, Chitragupt will say, all right, you messed up once again. Now we'll see what best can be done, because you may have to go through 8.4 million again. Yes, Nilesh, please go ahead. So we talked about Ganatantra Divas, so I thought we'll do a quick segue on that. Yes, please go ahead. You had a question?
Nitinji, quick question. Where does Bhagavatam sit in these three pillars?
So Bhagavatam, okay. So Bhagavatam, this is Prasthant, right? It's a Vedic thought. Bhagavatam is actually an encapsulation not only of the entire theory of scriptures, but also the bhakti ras in it. Okay, so Bhagavatam, it is said that when Ved Vyas created all of this, right, he still had a sense of dissatisfaction. Okay, and then his guru was Narad. So he said that, the reason you are feeling this dissatisfaction is because you have still not revealed the glories of God, or you have not immersed yourself in bhakti ras as yet. You have not written anything. All this if you look at all these things, it's all knowledge, and it takes you all the way up to moksha only. So then Ved Vyas said, all right. He said, but for you to write that, you'll have to do bhakti yourself. So Ved Vyas did bhakti, and finally he wrote Bhagavatam, which is all about glories of God. It has deep scriptural knowledge as well, plus the bhakti ras he added to that. And then in the beginning of Bhagavatam, he said, Arodhyam Puni Puni Sarva Shastrani. He said that I churned the scriptures repeatedly. And then the cream that came on top, that is what I have put in Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam is like where Bhagavad Gita ends, Bhagavatam begins. It's even further because the bhakti ras is there. But not everybody is ready for bhakti, right? They think it's a business of less intellectual people. So if all of these scriptures, people focus on the knowledge segment part of it or the ritualistic part of it. But Bhagavatam goes even deeper. So in Bhagavatam, they say, like Gita ends at moksha.
Yeah.
Bhagavatam says, leave aside dharam, karam, arth, and moksha. Now let's enter the bhakti. So you leave aside moksha also. So Bhagavatam has a higher stature. It's called Mahabhagavatam Puran. So it is said, if our scriptures are like that, a tree, I mean, if you can equate our scriptures to a tree, fruit tree, then the fructified fruit or the ripened fruit of that tree is Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam. Okay.
That is the stature of Bhagavatam, right? So if our scriptures is like sugarcane, and then sugarcane, hypothetically, if you have a sugarcane fruit, I don't know how that would be. That is what Bhagavatam is, okay? The sweetest possible. Okay, so hopefully we put our Ganatantra Divas to perspective now. As an Indian, yes, it's a cause for celebration. As a soul, we still have a long way to go before we formally adopt the constitution and start aligning to these practices. Okay, now where are we? Let's get started on. We are talking about bhakti, the 3 S's. We have started with sadhana. We'll talk about seva tomorrow and satsang briefly as well. So we started with sadhana, and we spoke about the ekant sadhana. You know, it's like milk. If you pour water on it, the milk will get diluted. However, when you churn it and make butter out of it, then butter can challenge water and say, Mr. Water, I can float on top of your head and you can do me no harm. Okay, so from that standpoint, this milk is like our mind. This water is the worldly association, mostly kusang. And when we do ekant sadhana, it is the churning part of it and getting into that stable zone where you start getting into bhav bhakti and higher stages in meditation. That's when you can float on in the world without letting the world get inside you. Okay, it's just like a boat goes through the water and not lets the water come inside it. That is the state we have to reach. That is the aspirational state. And that is the significance of ekant sadhana. What is happening is, for that point of time, you are blocking out the entire world. It is a one-on-one with God. Okay, nobody else. It's your personal time with God. And that actually helps setting up the tone for the rest of the day and help you sail through some of the vicissitudes of life, you know, when you are taking that time off and focusing on God and doing your sadhana. So this is very highly recommended practice. And within sadhana, we started off with the practice of Roop Dhyan. We said it has a lot of benefits. It is the truly transcendental meditation. All other meditations, the breathing techniques and all that stuff are good. It will help you build focus. You may even start having certain realizations. But when you come back into the world, the impurities are still there. You will not be able to conquer Maya on your own. At best, you may reach a Sattva Guna through these meditations, breathing techniques, focusing on light, tip of your nose, and all these meditations are chakra, kundalini, all that stuff, which is good practice, will give you good feeling, you know, feel good factor, even help you develop focus, may even give you siddhis. But when it comes to conquering Maya, it will not. You will still be delving in the realm of Maya because Sattva has not yet subsided, and Sattva at any point can give birth to Tamas and Rajas. Okay, it can happen anytime. We cannot underestimate the power of Maya. So as long as you are in a meditative state, you will be fine. The moment you are back in the world, all those things will start troubling you again. Okay, and that is where Roop Dhyan is the meditation which actually hits these afflictions of our mind at the root by cleansing them. Why? Because we are trying to focus on God. And then the question comes, we haven't seen God. What do we visualize? How do we visualize and stuff like that? That is what we are trying to talk through. So let's continue on our discussion. Roop Dhyan means form. Dhyan means to meditate upon. And it is something that we are aligning to the natural tendency of our mind to be able to associate with forms, and the fact that it needs something to work with. You tell mind to be still, don't think anything. It's an unstable state for mind. Okay, because it's like putting a brake on your bicycle, you'll lose balance. You may be able to do that, but then it is not something that mind is attuned to or habituated to. So you work with something that your mind has a natural inclination towards, and that really helps as you start progressing in Roop Dhyan and meditation. And we've already spoken about the stages that you will pass through, right? Sadhan Bhakti stages and the Bhav Bhakti stages, where those symptoms will start manifesting in you. You know, all the way up to Siddhis, you have to reject all that as well, and then into Prema Bhakti and the different levels of Prema Bhakti that you will be led to when you keep deepening this practice. All right, so let's get started. We spoke about the first principle, close your eyes. that's a good start basically, because whoever your Ishtadev is, right? A lot of people have a natural, what you call love, affection, or a connect with Ram Bhagwan, Durga Mata, Shiv Bhagwan, whoever is your Ishtadev. We choose Radha and Krishna because it is a loving form of God and it's easy to connect because of the pastimes Krishna has displayed. And it's easy to imagine him in different relationships as opposed to some of the other forms of God, although it's the same God, where God might be in his official mood. So you may have to maintain certain protocols, or even your mind will say, okay, the respect and awe and reverence would come in your mind naturally, right? But feel free to, whoever is your Ishtadev, and let it grow on you. Helpers is, you can take a picture in front of you. You have not seen God, so it's not easy to imagine God, right? How do you imagine God, somebody who you have not seen? So you, at best, you can look at a deity that you have an association with, maybe a picture that you really associate with you, and try to form that image as best as you can. It doesn't have to be a perfect nose, perfect ear. Even for our father, mother, relatives, when we think about somebody, their image comes to our mind, but their features may not be perfect, and we should not even attempt to make it perfect. It's just a feeling that that person is there, and same thing happens in Roop Dhyan as well. Yes, Samji?
Go ahead, Sam.
Radhe Radhe Nitin ji. I was about to ask, when when God graces, that means when our mind is fully purified, only then God will grace, only then all our sins will get burned, right? All the karma will get burned. But during the...
He will start gracing you even before that. The full grace, right, will come with the perfect surrender. But then when you start getting into Bhav Bhakti, God will start doing some tricks and magic at that point, because now you are getting into another stage, right?
Yes,
He will start supporting you. Shuddha Sattva will start mixing within your sattvic meditation.
But during lower levels, I mean, during our stage or my stage, will sins get burnt during sadhana?
Sins will get burnt.
They say that taking the name of God, chanting the name of God itself should burn, like
maybe
considerable
it might be
amount of
burning the sins of your past times as well. But then how much you can burn from your infinite mountain, right? See, just by doing in Bhav Bhakti, you will burn on your sins. No, it's not going to happen. So what's the point? Let's say it burns something. If you have an ocean, you have burnt a few drops. How would it help? You still have to burn the ocean, right? So yeah, it might be burning. It's a moot point at that point. The point is, you want to get to the perfect stage, because there are no half measures. Even if you're 99.9% there, you're still not done. You're still in Maya, right? So what's the point? If you have a portion of it, maybe a drop or a bucket of your ocean, how does it matter? But the good thing is, your sanskars are becoming better, because with bhakti, some of those symptoms we spoke about, your anger, let go, bitterness, all the virtues, Devic gunas will start manifesting. So it's all auspicious in that sense.
Okay. Like you said, the stages of bhakti, right? Bhav Bhakti, all those stages are there, but they come through only, if they come only through sadhana, then what is the purpose of seva?
We will get into, you are jumping the gun here now. Okay, so just hold on. Let's talk about Roop Dhyan. Let's do a Roop Dhyan and we'll get into all those questions. Seva is yet to come. Yes, Aparna, you had a question too?
Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Or questions can wait until we complete.
Cannot hear you.
You are unmuted.
Okay, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. No, I was just thinking that why we like to meditate upon Radha and Krishna is because we have him depicted through various stages of life, like from Bal Mukund to adulthood and all that. Other deities or other gods, I don't know. I mean, except for Bal Hanuman, I don't know any other gods, depicted like Shiva, for example. There is no baby Shiva or anything. There's not that many range of stories to think.
In Krishna,
Bal Ganesh is also very popular.
True. They're all the forms of the same God. So, ek sadhe, sab sadhe na koi. So, when you deepen your relationship with one form, others will automatically, love will come. But if you do with an understanding, all are different, a little bit of this, little bit of that, then it will not work. Settle down for one and just take it deep. That is the whole idea. And Krishna avatar has some special things, right? Leela Madhuri, Bal Madhuri, Prem Madhuri, Murli Madhuri. These are 4 Madhuris which are not there in any avatar. So it becomes easy to attach your mind to a form which is loving, enchanting, beautiful, and which has displayed 360-degree kind of leelas, not just restricted to a certain aspect alone, right? So yeah, that definitely helps, and that is why Radha Krishna, I'm referring to them as plus your Ishdev. The second advantage of this is that when you are doing it all in your mind and you are getting the same benefit, see how productive it is. You are doing it in mind and you're getting the same benefit. In world, you have to express it to people, and people still don't understand it, right? The people say, you don't love me, you don't do this, you have to express it, and sometimes over express it just to make the point. In God's sense, you can do it in the mind, and God says more than enough, right? There's a beautiful story of humorous story rather, Swamiji tells about a miser man. So this miser man, when he came to know about this Mansi Bhakti, that all you need to do is in your mind, that is so cool. I don't have to shell out any dime or a dollar, and God is still happy. So what he did was he started doing it in his mind, and he would get the most lavish and expensive diamond studded garlands and stuff like that. Whatever he wanted to do in his real life, he started doing that in his Mansi Bhakti, started putting it to God. And then he reached a stage where he had perfected that, he had reached some advanced stage. And on one of his Mansi Bhakti meditation, he started preparing kheer for God, that today I'm going to prepare kheer for God. And when he was preparing kheer, saffron, he put saffron. Saffron is pretty expensive, and we put it in kheer. So he wanted to put a little bit of saffron in kheer. But as it happened, the entire saffron bottle got tilted and emptied into the milk. And now this guy was stingy, miserly, kanjus. So in his dream, not in dream, but in his Mansi Bhakti, now his tendency kicked in. Habits are there, right? Our sanskars are still there in our mind. So he said, oh my God, what a loss. I have put entire saffron. I wanted to put this much and I have put everything. So he started taking one by one out, saffron out, and started putting it back into the bottle. Now Krishna was happy with his bhakti because he had reached a certain stage. He said, all right, let me give him some darshan. So he held his hand in his Mansi Bhakti. And he said, Kanjus, Makhi Chus, first of all, you are doing it in your mind, and still you are worried that you are incurring a loss. So the point is, you get the same benefit when you do it in your mind. Okay, you don't have to do it in action or that physical drill that we have to do in this world. How beautiful and simplified it is. God has made it for us, right? If you think about this concept, and you get the same benefit. So do it in your mind. Practice. When you sit for a meditation, you have to take a resolve that today I'm going to win this battle, or at least prolong this battle. You have to make that resolve. Then it will start happening. If you say, no, my man nahi lagta and this will happen. Of course, man will nahi. You have to force it until you start gaining that. Because I said Krishna is Ras Sindhu. The moment he start taking your attention, and it's just a matter of time, then even if you try to force him out of your mind, you will not be able to. Okay, because he's the Ras Sindhu. These small things in the world, they take away our attention. But just imagine if Krishna decides to take even a little bit of your mind space, what impact it can have. Okay, so we have to force ourselves initially, show our intent, resolve, desperation that I want to do it, Krishna, and pray to him, and it will happen. Okay, so first thing is you can take it as a helper, close your eyes, just try to visualize. If the image is not coming, again, open up your eye, again, try it. Try it multiple times, it will start happening. It may be a few seconds to begin with, then it will gradually go into minutes. And then who knows, one day you might be sitting in samadhi and people may have to wake you up, right? So it can happen too. So this is the first one we spoke about. Now, if you, the thing is, you can basically be as creative as you want. Okay. Decorate things like that. Okay. Now, the next one is bring divine. When I say divine sentiments, that feeling and sentiments, that it is somebody special. You don't say it's another boy. Of course, that is there at the back of your mind. It is God, who is the very basis of my life, who has given me this opportunity, who's my eternal relative I've forgotten about. He's my eternal father. And this is how I want to visualize him, meet him, touch him. All that sentiments you make, that is essentially what happens in Roop Dhyan meditation. Bring the knowledge that God is omnipresent, and so it is present in your deity as well. People say, how can you objectify God? God is all present. Yes, it's all present. That means it's present in the deity and the image that you have formed as well. Right? So that knowledge has to be there. Don't fall for this that you can't objectify God, so you cannot, whatever you are visualizing, God is noting it down. Even Gyanis, they visualize light. Can they visualize God's actual light? No, they cannot. They are making it up in their mind. So same practice we do in Roop Dhyan as well. The third one was, of course, they are present everywhere, so you can bring in that sentiments. Engage all of your senses. You can, right? That, like this guy was doing, he was engaging his senses, putting the saffron and then imagining even the how it would taste once before giving it to Krishna, how the odor is, and all the senses you can bring into the picture. In fact, I can point you to some of the meditations Swamiji has, guided meditations, where he talks about you go to Vrindavan and near Yamuna, and the odor of the trees and the oils that are coming, and the Vanmala intoxicating odor. So you can actually stimulate your senses as if you are actually in that particular moment, sitting right next to Krishna on the banks of Yamuna, or whatever Leela is your favorite pastime. So you can engage all of your senses, eyes, ears, sense of taste. You could be feeding food to him and snatching food away from his mouth and all that stuff. You can taste stuff. All the senses can be engaged as creatively as you want. Okay. And some of the helpers are, like I said, Krishna's flute. You can maybe play a music of flute that is, and imagine that it's actually being played. You can smell the fragrance of flowers, hear the sound of their voice, anklets, oils that they wear. All that stuff can be used as a helper. And be as creative as you want, engaging your subtle mind in this activity. You're sitting, and that is a time you want to spend in your mind, that I am there, I'm doing it. It's just a visualization, right? Modern science talks about when you visualize stuff, you actually actualize it after a while. If you keep on forgetting something, like I gave you an example, just imagine in your mind you doing that thing, and then you will not forget it. And through visualization techniques, people can work wonders. Swamiji was talking about a guy, I've forgotten that, I need to take that reference, who actually cured one of his ailments by just imagining and visualizing that a lot of white blood cells, they are producing, WBCs, they fight all the infection and stuff like that. And he would meditate on that thing every day. And surprisingly, he was able to cure himself. Okay, I need to get that reference for them. So point is, the visualization is very, very, very strong. Every thought, the power of thought, if you read that book, you'll understand. When you start visualizing things, it actually spins something, and you are actually contributing towards giving it a practical shape. So Roop Dhyan is taking basically advantage of this power that God has given us. And God says, you simply do it in your mind. And the activity of, in Bhagavad Gita, we have spoken, Varnahi Kaschit Kshanamapi, right? Not even for a second, anybody can remain without work. So the real activity or the real karma is done by mind. And Roop Dhyan is channelizing or taking advantage of that aspect only, which God has spoken about in Bhagavad Gita as well. Let your mind do the work, and God will give you the same credit as if you are trying to meet him and build that devotional connect with him. Okay, so same thing. The next one is feel a deep personal relationship with God. It is important where you sidestep his Aishwarya Bhav. And that is where all the bhavs that we have been talking about come in handy. Servant, child, mother, father, beloved. You can switch bhavs. If one bhav comes more easily to you, go for that. If you get bored and some other bhav is coming, go for that. Feel free to switch around. Until you settle for a particular bhav, it will happen eventually. But there's no harm in switching bhavs. It all, starts with, thinking of serving God as a servant, and then as you start getting more comfortable with God, you start taking more liberties with him, all that stuff, right? So you can increase that bhav, step down, step up, and all that stuff, until you reach a stage where one bhav will become dominant, and then you can continue with that. And this is a stage where it's important to start building that personal relationship. You can talk to God, you can make him sit right next to your table or chair when you start working. Put triggers or for yourself to remember every few minutes, or maybe every 30 minutes. There are triggers for that. Those are the things you can do, start doing it, which will help you, even in the Roop Dhyan practice, because now God is becoming an integral part of your life. It's like one of those friends you talk to. The only difference is right now you have to simulate in your head and start building that faith, because he's not going to manifest right in front of you with the state that you are in. It will start happening in Bhav Bhakti, but until then we have to persevere. Right? People have experienced it. Scriptures say that, saints have seen that. So there's no reason for us to believe why we won't be able to see our Ishtadev when we start worshipping him and start building a connect with him. Right? And our scriptures and even saints, they even go on to the extent of explaining it as best as they can in material worlds, right? Shantakaram, Bhujanga. In none of the religions they have described God, how God looks like. But if you go to Sanatan Dharam, they have actually given the description in so many forms. This is how God looks like. Now, of course, it is limited by material description, because that is the only instrument we have. But people have seen God and they have tried to describe it as best as they can. So these are some of the things. So now the next one is you can perform service to them in your meditation as well. Fanning them, offering petals at their feet, washing their feet, offering food or drink, decorating them with beautiful ornaments, and it will not cost you anything other than that mental exercise that you are doing. Okay. And you need to enliven it, walking with them, playing with them, right? If Krishna were to descend now, he will play cricket. You don't have to imagine playing ghoda like his friends would do. You can play cricket also. Feel free, basically. That's what Maharaji also explains. Just imagine. Your intent is to take your mind to God and enliven it, because if you are just watching God standing like this, after a while your mind will get bored. He said, what's going on? He's just looking at me, he doesn't respond, and so enliven it. Make his hands and feet move, talk. Imagine that he's talking back to you. So this is a practice, okay? You'll not go mad, trust me. But after a while, it will start making sense and you will start relishing it. And what benefit you will get for the rest of the day is another different story altogether. So this is a great way to start building that connect with God. So enliven it. And so now let's do that. Before we get into that, let's do a quick 5-minute meditation. I've picked up a small one related to Bhagavad Gita so that we are able to relate to it as well. So the resolve that we will try to do right now is that we will force our mind back, and maybe you can share your experience, how many times it wandered and how was it bringing it back. When you take a resolve, you can always bring it back, or substitute, just put wherever your mind goes, let it go, put Krishna there. After a while your mind will get tired, it will start seeing Krishna. No, wherever it goes, let it go, put Krishna there. But let's make a quick resolve and try to meditate on this guided meditation and see how it goes. It's not a very long one. So, but let's see how this goes. Okay. Let me know if you're able to hear it.
For more inspiring content,
Yes.
Good. Okay, great.
the latest video.
All right.
Sit with your back.
All right. So you can take your position, whatever you want to do. Sit with your back straight is the instruction. So let's get started with that.
With your back straight and neck straight. Close your eyes. Begin breathing deeply. Perceive your body becoming soft and relaxed. Let your mind become calm and peaceful. Now visualize Lord Krishna and Arjuna between the two armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna is seated on his chariot, overcome with confusion. Sri Krishna is standing before him, compassionately answering his questions and bestowing knowledge upon him. Meditate upon the kindness of Lord Krishna. He is mercifully leading Arjun from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge. Meditate upon God, who is an ocean of knowledge and wisdom. See him as infinitely compassionate. He is happy to bestow divine knowledge upon anyone who genuinely seeks this grace from him. Now visualize your own situation. See yourself on the battlefield of life. To make your life a success, you need divine guidance and inspiration. Mentally offer yourself at the feet of Lord Krishna. Pray to him to illumine your heart with the light of divine wisdom. Pray deeply and sincerely for grace and inspiration, that you may be able to take your life to the highest perfection. Feel yourself becoming enthusiastic to tread the path to God realization. Visualize yourself growing in enthusiasm and motivation for the inward journey towards God. Take a deep breath, and while breathing out, let Sham, a name for Lord Krishna, rise from your navel upwards to your throat. Repeat the recitation of Sham with 2 more breaths. Together and place them on the eyes. Gently rubbing your eyes with your fingers. With a few blinks, open them.
All right. So, any observations for anyone? Found it difficult, easy? Mind was all over the place. Any reflections anybody wanted to share before we get further? I mean, you can, or was it your first time, or how was the experience in general? It's a very short meditation. Okay, we haven't really gone into serving God, just looking at him, having an exchange. All those meditations are available, but I picked up a really short one just to give a sense of how the guided meditation could be a great tool for us, especially if we are not able to do it all or on our own. So I'd like to hear from some of the participants. How was your experience, and any challenges or any aha moments? Yes, Surya.
Yes, Surya Prakash ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
I was practicing earlier also. It was good experience. Means first 2 minutes I could not concentrate. It was going, but slowly it has last 1.5 minutes was better than earlier 3.5 minutes.
Great. All right. That's good to know. But you've been practicing meditation before, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you for sharing that. Let's hear from a few more participants.
Yes. Radhe Radhe, Monica ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe,
Radhe Radhe ji. I felt that guided meditation is much, I would say, easier to do because Swamiji sort of just navigates through everything, right? Because when I do Roop Dhyan myself, then after some point, I have to generate thoughts and other things. But with Swamiji, I think guided meditation is like you said, is a great tool. Maybe if we are not able to do Roop Dhyan ourselves initially, guided meditation is something that we can
Yes,
stick to.
It's a great tool. In fact, you can just close out your room, put your headphones or noise cancellation on, put the meditation on, just follow the words. It's a great way to initiate yourself into meditation.
Yes.
It's a great tool actually. And some of the meditations, you can go actually check Swami Mukundan and meditations. You'll find a playlist of meditations depending upon what you want to practice. You want to practice humility, you want to practice detachment, you want to build a connect with God. You have all the meditations available. Okay. And they're not very long. I mean, maximum 15, 11 minutes, 5 minutes, all kind of meditations are there. It's a good way to start.
On YouTube?
Yes.
YouTube, Nitinji?
YouTube.
Yes.
I can share the playlist with you.
Yes,
you
please.
Start building it into your routine, and it's a great way to get started and building some stamina. See, it's like once you get used to it, it'll be like, it may start off as something you want to force yourself into, but then it'll become a greed because the benefits that you start getting out of it are immense.
Right. So Nitinji, when we do sadhana, so like in the shloka also, the English translation of it mentioned that we should seek seclusion and maybe.
This is when you do this sadhana, there has to be one time of the day which is just ekant sadhana. Other than that, you have to step down into the world and operate as well, right? So this is called karam sannyas sadhana. Remaining time you operate in the world with the karam yoga mindset. So it's not telling you secluded for the rest of your life. It's only for that sadhana part of it. That is a one-on-one between you and God with nobody else. That point.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Monica ji. Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe, Pallavi ji, Nitin bhai. As I've already told you, Nitin bhai, I meditate for last some years, and today was no exception. And the first thing that what I feel is we just lose the count of time. Initially, I knew we were there, but after some time, I did not know how the time passed. And when Swamiji said, "Rub your eyes," I guess that the time was over, but I could not feel that it's 1 minute or 5 minutes. That's the beauty of meditation. You lose the track of time. And since I'm doing it daily, and I don't do guided meditation, I do this on my own. I chant the name, and as I told you earlier also, I just feel that I am with God in the garden, and he's roaming around there, and I'm seeing him. And sometimes he's, as we see in the Jula Lilian, he's there. Sometimes on the swing, sometimes he is there. Sometimes Radha is there, but I don't see their face clearly. That's okay with me. I want to be then in that Vira Bhav where I don't see their faces clearly, but I know they are there in the bodily form, and they're there with me, roaming around, being there, sometimes playing with them among themselves. I am there visually. They know I'm there. I know he's there. They are there, and that's it. And today was no exception. I always lose the track of time. Trust you me, time has no bounds in the meditation. You don't even know when time passes by, whether it's 5 minutes. I don't sit for long. I can't sit because as we are all in this medieval world, but 20 minutes on average, I do it, and it's the best part of the day. Trust you me, it is the best bliss you can ever get. If you meditate, the mind has its own Maya. It will wander, that's for sure. It has to go here and there. You can't control it. But as you say, just bring it back on the track and you're there. I guess, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you for sharing that, and the fact that the bliss that you get out of it, right? And it will only sweeten and get better with time. So we just need to experience it to get hooked onto it. But that first step, we just have to persevere through that. See, it's like when people start drinking, they don't like the taste.
Yes.
Coke and other things are much, but then they persevere because somebody has told them it is good, man. It is very cool, and you'll feel the high. So you persist, and that is when you get onto it. And in this case, you are trying to take your mind to God. Yeah, it's going to have lasting.
Just be there, and you'll be there. That's for sure. Just be there.
True.
Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. That's the only key to it.
It will start cooperating. This.
It will.
Hearing that.
It has no choice but to cooperate.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's well within your control.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let's hear maybe from a few more participants, and then I know we have our maybe devotional
Yes,
segment.
Nitinji, there are beautiful comments in chat as well about the meditation. Ankurji has said that it was very calming and relieving. And Jyotiji mentioned that loved the meditation. We can include it in our session if possible. We can include
Yeah, you
that.
can put in a feedback tracker if you want. We could make it a feature of our sessions periodically, where we simply sit and do Roop Dhyan meditation as a group. It's a great practice to have. So if you think that would add, I would be more than happy to include it periodically. That will help us build some stamina on meditation as well. And collectively, we'll be sitting there, and that will be very nice. Maybe we can turn on our cameras to increase our commitment around it as well, right? So great. Please fill in the feedback tracker if you feel that, and we can do that periodically, or maybe make it a feature on a given designated day, meditation day as well, as part of our, like we do devotional segment, then that day we just meditate towards the end.
Yeah, I think we used to have meditation session
I
when
know.
long time ago.
Preetiji, yeah, then Preetiji moved on, so we can start including that.
Yes.
Yeah, Swamiji had told me to start doing it like Jay Shetty does, but I have not been able to have those many guts. So I need to prepare for it, but I'm sure one day I will. Okay, it's just a matter of time, maybe a few months or whatever, where I can do live meditation. He said, "You just get started with it." I said, "Okay, Swamiji." That's a lot of stuff, but we'll get there one day. But we have Swamiji's guided meditation. We can start off with that.
Swamiji's guided meditation has helped me a lot.
Right.
I have learned a lot, and now I believe that especially hearing to Swamiji's peaceful voice itself takes it to somewhere else.
True. Plus, our video team has done a great job by putting a very nice background score, very peaceful score. So some of the meditations where he'll take you to, Yamuna banks, make you sit with Krishna, and you're enjoying that breeze and that entire.
Yes.
It can actually take you there. Okay, so just
Yes.
avail that. Beautiful meditations out there. Check out the playlist. I'll
Yes.
probably post it on the CIC group as well. But start doing it from tomorrow. I mean, why do we have to wait for Shubhasya
Yes.
Shikram?
Shubhasya
Time is always right for the right things. So
Yes. I would like to take Chandruji.
yes, Chandruji.
Yeah, Chandruji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe.
Radhe
For
Radhe.
me, it's easy to meditate on the Krishna's threefold bent form when he's so playful with his flute, and especially on the Jhulan Leela with Radharani. And those moments are like he is a friend to me, and I am able to communicate and talk to him so very, relaxed posture.
Very
So
nice.
even his childhood leelas are very, very, easy to meditate on.
Yep, very
Thank
true.
you.
Chandruji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you for sharing that. And I would say we can probably create a thread on our portal to see what are some of the things that work for people. They love to meditate upon. That will really inspire and help us get more creative around it as well.
Definitely.
Yes, let's hear from a few more hands.
Yeah, Himangini ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Himangini ji.
There's one prayer in the prayer book that is my go-to every morning. And if it's the one where Krishna is sitting on the Yamuna bank, one leg crossed over the other, Krishna is sitting under a celestial tree, Kalp Vriksha, in the most beautiful garden of Vrindavan near the Yamuna. If you dissect each sentence and close the eyes, one can actually get there. It is such a beautiful prayer, describing in detail the surrounding scene, the trees, the birds, the sound of the river, what Krishna is wearing, shape of his face, his smile, the gems, the stones, and the effulgent rays radiating from his body. This is my one to go to.
Beautiful.
It's Vrindavan, Kanan. I think that whole
Vrindavan, Yamuna
Yamuna
Nikatastita, Vrindavana Kanane Maharamye Kalpadrumatala Bhumau Charanam Charano Paristatya Tistam Gam Galanilam Swatejasa Bhas. You can just visualize it. You can get a visual of it. It's just so powerful. It's elixir.
And Swamiji has created a meditation on that. You can check it out. This
Please.
verse is actually composed by Adi Shankaracharya.
Shankaracharya.
He was a Rasik saint, and Maharajji has actually included this in his.
So beautiful.
Yes, yeah, right. This composition is a beautiful composition that Yamuna Tat Nikat and all that. So if you do that, I think it's one of the most beautiful meditations. You can try it out in the playlist. I'll share that with you as well. Let's hear from others as well.
Arunji, Radhe Radhe. Please
Radhe
go
Radhe.
ahead. Yeah. Thank you, Maniji.
Yeah, hi, Radhe Radhe. I mean, I'm a very new person to this Roop Dhyan meditation. I've not done it before much. So from my experience in particular, since you were asking about how this quick one was, so for me, it took some time to build up to even form an image that I can actually meditate on, because I was trying to recollect some of my favorite photos, but it didn't come to mind. So I was trying to construct a form, but by the time I got to a form, I think the meditation kept going faster than I could catch up to.
Got it.
So then they started going to the the Kurukshetra battle, and I started visualizing there, but then it already went to the next stage. So I was trying to catch up. It wasn't very slow for me. That's because, I'm still a very new person on this. So maybe that's why I couldn't even get the form proper to begin with. And then, yeah, so for me, it was a kind of a mixed experience. I didn't get the benefit too much out of this one because I'm very new to it. So I need to get to the practice of being able to visualize a form and, and being able to catch up with the meditation and, flow along with the thing. Yeah. So I think I was a bit slow on this.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that, because I'm sure a lot of people would have the similar experience, but we don't get disheartened. This is how it starts for all of us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just keep practicing until it starts becoming a little better, a little better. There always will be a delta, when you start practicing, and God is seated within. He knows you're trying. So it's just a matter of time before it'll all start falling in place. But thank you for sharing that, Arun. Very nice.
Thank you, Arunji.
Yes.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe.
Sandhya.
Okay, yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you for waiting.
No worries. Actually, I have heard this meditation earlier as well, but every time, even if you hear the same meditation, your richness of the experience keeps increasing. And that's really blissful part of this first point. Second thing, I think Swamiji, the way he describes things in so many details, it really feels like he has been there, he has seen that situation, and that's what he's describing. So that makes it feel so real. And I actually, in my personal experience of this meditation today, when Swamiji was saying this kind and compassion nature by which Krishna is answering all the queries, I could actually sometimes see Krishna and sometimes see Swamiji over there. It was just exchanging like that, because those features are common. So yeah, it was extremely blissful. And I just wanted to add this point as well, that daily sadhana, my journey has also started with guided meditations. And one thing that I've seen in daily sadhana course is you first learn a concept, and then Swamiji makes you do meditation related to that concept. So things stick very beautifully, and then you start visualizing it much better. So that's just a suggestion. Yeah.
Beautiful. I think daily sadhana is a great way to start. You're right. Swamiji has very customized meditations for the concept that he has spoken about. That will help you get into that meditative mindset as well. And especially if you have kids, it's a good way to introduce them early on, because kids are very vivid at imagining things. Very quickly they can do that. And it's a great way to introduce something to them that will help them in the rest of their life. It's a great skill to acquire early on. I wish I was introduced to meditation early on in life, but the sooner you get this, the better it is. Most successful people in the world, check it out. One of the common denominator you would find amongst them is they meditate. They may not be doing Roop Dhyan, but they're doing some form of meditation, which is how powerful it is.
Yes.
Yes, I see 3 more hands.
Yeah.
Let's
Thank you, Sandhya, for bringing daily sadhana. I
Yes, Sandhya.
really enjoyed being in daily sadhana course. It was really, I learned so much from that course.
Yeah, you can check it out if you want to subscribe. It's a beautiful asset you can have on a day-to-day basis. And Sandhya, thanks for sharing your experience. Swamiji is messing with your mind, I am sure, right now. So, great.
Abhishek ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Meditation has always been very difficult for me. But one thing that actually helped me is showing up every day. Even like sometimes, some days we don't want to meditate, like something is really disturbing us, but still just do it for at least 2 minutes, 5 minutes, doesn't matter. But still, if the habit kicks in, then it will become easy. And like I have experienced this, so this is only I have shared. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
For sharing that. Yes, it's like any other thing. If we persist, it will happen. See, even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that the object of our meditation is what we will end up achieving. So meditation is what? Thinking about something for an extended period of time. And if you think about our lives, we are meditating on the world. Something related to the world, we are thinking, planning, plotting, imagining. So if we don't want to get, that is why we need to start taking that thing away and building that stamina to think on God, or interacting with him, or building a relationship with him, or doing things for his pleasure, or thinking about his leelas in our ekant sadhana. That will be very immensely beneficial for us. Purifying our mind, building the focus, and auspicious all around. And when we meditate, we start acquiring the qualities of the object of the meditation. That means the Devik gunas are automatically bound to come when you start meditating upon God. We start acquiring his virtues also. That is how beneficial it is, Roop Dhyan meditation. Yes, couple of more hands.
Yeah, Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe,
And then
thank
you
you for
can
waiting.
be ready for me. We will pick up 2 hands today for bhajan singing. One of them is Sandhya. She already gave her name today. And then we can probably spin the wheel if nobody else is there. We'll do two chantings today after this. Yes, Rahul.
Yeah, I think this meditation was challenging for me also, because I usually try to focus on Bal Leelas and try to dress up Shri Krishna, prepare food, palak paneer, matar paneer, whatever I can think of. Usually I try to prepare. But yeah, probably I should be bringing more variety. So this was a good learning experience, and I can check out the playlist also to make sure I can bring the variety which Swamiji has explained.
It really depends on the mood, actually. If you do Bar Leela, you don't have to change. You don't have to force yourself. Be in your comfort zone when it comes to meditation, right? I introduced this so that it's a little generic for everybody, because we are doing Bhagavad Gita, right? Otherwise, whatever you feel comfortable, just deepen that. So it's not like Krishna is saying you have to imagine me as a Baal, and then when I'm grown up and pretty much everything. He said, dude, you can stick to Baal Leela also. That's perfectly okay.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Rahul ji. Sam ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Samji.
In the past, I have been doing some kind of meditation, but there wasn't any specific time or place, like doing in the gardening while doing the gardening, or listening to the kalkal of the water flowing in the pond in my backyard, things like that. But for this 2023, I set up a goal kind of thing in my this thing that at 6 o'clock in the morning, I will be getting up and doing it for out of 1 hour. Maybe about 30-40 minutes, I will be doing these things specifically. So I try to divide it into kind of 3 small segments of the meditation. First 15-20 minutes, I try to do it like 3 malas, 2 malas on my Ishtavta, and 1 mala on mix of those 5 main supreme gods, as Swamijis and many others have dictated it. Lord Vishnu, Shiva, Shakti, Ganesh, and Surya, all those. So 3 malas total, 2 plus 1 mix. So, and the second segment, like you can say the B segment, I do it for 10-15 minutes in the Kundalini Yoga, Jagran. So I try to raise my Kundalini all the way to the up, and energy goes up, and it goes along with that. All the petals are woken up, and the Guru's Gyan is going from the Agya Chakra from there, all the Gyan, and all those things goes back into this one. And the last third segment, I can say, I try to go so-called introvert, like keeping your eyesight on your Agya Chakra. At one point, you feel that you are going into some kind of tunnel. Slowly, if you keep concentrating. And at the end of the tunnel, you will feel yourself just like that you are in the spaceship. Like looking all in the material, 1/4 of a material world, all the Brahmans, you can see it. So you are kind of in the Birja River. And at the same time, across the Birja River, you can see all those lokas, Shakti Lok, Shiva Lok, Golok, Ganesh Lok, Surya Lok. So you can pay your respects to them as well. And at the same time, I try to recite some shlokas, 2.47, 2.62, 63, 15.7, all those Mame Bansho, whatever few I remember, I try to recite that one. So that one thing, they go into my subconscious and unconscious in a little better way. A memory link becomes more and more emphasized. And then at the end of those, that whatever last 10, 15 minutes, so I kind of, from the spaceship, I try to come back out from the Agya Chakra into the material world. So that gives me some kind of solace. One thing, 6 o'clock time has been set up. Second thing, regularity comes into my, and whatever a little bit I do it. So in a way, some part of the segments, the Roop Dhyan is also becomes a part of that. That's my small 2 cents about my practice of meditation.
Oh, that's, you do it religiously every day, which is amazing. And as we can clearly see, you're reaping the benefits of it, right? It goes much beyond your body, and you can do astral travel as well, which is pretty amazing. So thank you for sharing your experiences, Samji. And this will only grow with time, but I'm glad you shared it with us. So thank you so much for that.
I'm not good at giving a PowerPoint or something. I said, maybe I'll just mention verbally whatever comes to my mind.
No worries, no worries. Very nice, but you shared it. Thank you so much for that.
Nothing.
Okay, real quick, we can take a couple of hands, and then I know we are getting over.
Yeah, thank you, Samji, for sharing. Manishji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Pallaviji, Nitiji, and everyone. So there are so many meditations of Swamiji's that are beautiful, but this is one of my favorite too, because this is like Nitinji, where the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is visiting the Brahmins, and one of them doesn't know how to read, and he's holding the Bhagavad Gita upside down. But the feeling that he has that Krishna is so causelessly merciful in answering all the doubts of Arjuna, answering all his questions to help him, and all that. It just brings tears to my eye as well when I listen to this meditation. So it's just like, it like makes me feel like I'm right there listening to and just sensing the Lord's causeless mercifulness. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Manishi, for sharing that. Yes. See, when you start building a connect, you don't know which meditation will start piercing your heart and you would like to do more of it, right? So we keep on doing it. And like I said, it grows on us. But we need to set the ball in motion. That is the key thing. Whatever that designated time is, like Samji said, every 6 a.m. in the morning, let's pick up a time and put this practice into application. Yes, last one, Aparnaji, real quick.
Radhe Radhe, Aparnaji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I haven't been able to meditate by myself, so I always use either the morning gems time, which is 10-minute meditation, or Kripalu Paddhati. That is very helpful, especially the Kirtan part. And also the other thing is there is live meditation on Thursdays with Anjali ji. So her content is so beautiful. It's magical, actually. I think we can use one of those in our future session, one of the sessions.
Sure.
We have a recording of that. They are really, really beautiful.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, so yeah, I think that the key thing for us is to have this goal of adding meditation to our routine in whatever way. That will be a huge gift we can give ourselves, right? And if we start meditating on the form of God and start deepening that practice, that's a great sanskar we can build, which is going to help us, our spiritual journey, and accelerate, fast track it big time. Roop Dhyan is called the pran of all the practices that we do, meditative practices that we do. It is the pran. Without that, it's like it's a practice, but it will not take you beyond Maya or purify you. It will always have a limit. But great, thanks for sharing that. With that, I know we are way over. We'll probably have one or two bhajans. So Sandhya, you can go first because you had expressed that already. Let's do that. And
Nitinji, there is a request if we can quickly
Sure.
request from Swati ji to show the slide where the slide which has second step of Roop Dhyan meditation.
Okay, all right, so I can do that. In the meantime, if you're planning to sing, let me know, because we have at least we can pick one or two, not more than that, because we are already over. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, but it's the
We see your folder.
Yeah, we see your folder, not the
Oh, you're
not the slide. Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Okay, now you should be able to see. There you go.
Yeah, Swati ji. Thank you. Thank you, Nitin.
All right, we have two hands, so go ahead, Sandhya. And we have one more hand, I think, for singing. So we can have two quick ones, and then we will continue tomorrow. We will talk about seva. We will bring in the concept of seva and have an interesting discussion around it, because that's a very important concept as well. Go ahead, Sandhya.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the bhajan I wanted to sing. I'll try. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे बहको न अब बहकाने से जब समझ प्रेम में डूब गई तब क्या होगा समझाने से तुमको ही तन मन धन अर्पण तुम ही एक मेरे जीवन धन अब पीछे नहीं हटेगा पग पिय विरह चोट और खाने से तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे बहको न अब बहकाने से दे दो ऐसी विरह वेदना मिट जाए मम अहम चेतना और अधिक चमकेगा सोना पुनि पुनि अग्नि तपाने से तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे बहको न अब बहकाने से आया ना आ मुरली वारे रो रो कर हम तुम्हें पुकारे प्रेम बढ़ेगा छिन छिन मेरा यूं तेरे तड़पाने से तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे, बहको नाब बहकाने से, पिया तुमसे ही प्रीति लगाई, पर झोली भी संग नहीं लाई, एक बार लगा लो सीने से बलिहार जाऊं, अपनाने से तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे, बहकुनाब बहकाने से, चाहे मम आलिंगन कर लो, चाहे मम प्राणन ही हर लो, चाहे जी भर कर तड़पा लो, मोहे काम श्याम गुण गाने से, तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे, बहकुनाब बहकाने से, जब समझ प्रेम में डूब गई, तब क्या होगा समझाने से, तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे. That's it. This is half of the bhajan, but I thought for today this much is good enough.
No, very nice. It's a beautiful bhajan, Sandhya, very nicely sung. And it has a lot of Tattva Gyan loaded into it. And in fact, if there's one of my bhajans, I love it. It's there in the SoundCloud as well. If you listen to it, put the headphones. Oh my, you can just meditate for it. Goes on for 30 minutes. It's a very long bhajan. Very nicely done, Sandhya, and I'm glad you picked it up. Sets the tone for the rest of the evening as well. So it's a beautiful bhajan. And Swamiji, he gives commentary on it. One line, he can speak for one hour. That is how deep the meaning is. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up, and check it out. I think it's there on the SoundCloud. If it's still there, I believe it's a very nice one to meditate upon as well. Just tune into it and you can sit for 30-40 minutes. So great. So do we have, are we done for the session today then? I know we are late. I think I see one more hand. Manishi, we can pick you up tomorrow because we'll have a session. We have run out of time today because we had an extended discussion. So tomorrow we can give you the first preference. Plus you can put it in the tracker. We can spin the wheel, but we'll give you the first preference. After that, we'll spin the wheel. But great discussion. Tomorrow we'll talk about the other two S's, which is Seva and satsang. I don't know how much we can cover because each topic, I mean, this topic can also go on for cover, but we have to move forward as well. But we'll talk about Seva tomorrow and continue our discussion on this particular topic. So anything else? Last words somebody wanted to say? We're good to wrap up the session today.
Thank you, Nitinji, for such an awesome session. It's always like enlightening, like always. Thank you so much.
Everybody.
And thank you all for such enthusiastic participation. And Sandhya ji for such beautiful, blissful bhajan.
Yes, Sandhya, thank you so much for bringing in this bhajan. So very nice.
Stay blessed, all of you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, see you all tomorrow. Radhe Radhe. Have a wonderful day and great rest of your evening.
Radhe Radhe.